A badge glints as I unzip my purse, and the officer's smile vanishes before I can explain. The wireless mic on the intake counter blinks red against the bright lobby lights. A public station repurposed for walk-in reports, glass doors behind me. 2 officers in front, a small knot of people waiting their turn, phones already half raised. I am here to show, not tell. My immediate goal is to place the purse down, open it once, and keep my hands visible. Please set it here, the officer says, pointing to the counter, and I comply, sliding the strap off my shoulder, feeling the familiar weight shift. I'm reporting something found. I say, keeping my voice level, and the mic picks it up with a soft chirp. Slowly, another officer says, palm out, and I slow my movements, fingertips pinching the zipper tab. You can stop? The first officer says when he sees inside and the room changes temperature. What did you bring in? He asks, not looking at me anymore, and the consequence arrives immediately. The people behind me stop shuffling. I found it in my purse, I say, and my words land flat. Don't touch anything, he says, and the mic blinks again as if agreeing. A woman near the doors whispers, "Is that a bomb?" and someone laughs too loudly, then doesn't. Ma'am, step back, the second officer says, and I step back palms up because compliance is a language I speak fluently. Who else handled this bag? The first officer asks, and the question cuts toward my home without naming it. Just me, I say, and the lie isn't a lie. It's a partial truth that buys me seconds. Say it again. Your title is reporting party, not investigator. The officer snaps needle sharp, and the room hears it. Reporting party, I repeat. And the consequence is a tape line pulled from a pocket stretched across the floor between me and the counter. Phones down, the second officer says, and 2 phones drop while 1 doesn't. Sir, phones down, he repeats, and the man lowers it, embarrassed. What is it, someone asks, and no one answers. The mic hums the red lights steady, a witness that doesn't blink. We're going to secure the area, the first officer says, already moving, and a security guard appears from nowhere because public spaces always have one more layer than you expect. Is she being detained? A woman asks, and the word hangs. Not yet, the officer says, and the consequence is the smallest step back I've ever taken, measured and visible. I breathe through my nose and keep my eyes on the counter because I know how fast eyes can be misread. Did you place this item yourself? The officer asks, and the mic catches the question cleanly. No, I say. Did anyone ask you to? He asks, and the people behind me lean in. No, I say again, and my hands stay open. Then we're going to treat this as a potential device, he says, and the word device ripples. Everyone remain calm, the second officer says louder, and calm evaporates into compliance. A man mutters, Jesus, and the guard moves him back with a flat hand. I need you to think. The first officer says to me softer now. Procedural calm, like a blanket. Think about access, he adds, and the word access presses on my chest. I brought it in because I was told to show you, I say, and the consequence is a nod that means nothing and everything. Who told you, he asks. No one, I say, and the truth is brittle. Ma'am, he says, read the sign pointing to the wall, and I read it aloud because the room needs to hear me obey. All items subject to inspection. Good, he says. Now step aside. I step to the taped line, the mic between us like a third party, and the counter becomes a stage. We need clearance, the second officer says into his radio, and the word clearance tightens the space. Clearance for what someone asks. Sir, please, the guard says, and the man stops. The first officer leans closer to the purse without touching it, eyes flicking to the mic, then to me. You're shaking, he says, and the consequence is the room looking at my hands, which aren't. I'm not, I say, and the mic catches the certainty. You will be, someone whispers, and the guard turns. That's enough, he says, and the whisper dies. Do you have identification, the officer asks me, and the question is routine, but the consequence is the sudden awareness of pockets and zippers and how much of a person can be reduced to cards. Yes, I say. Don't reach, he says, and I stop. Where is it? In my jacket, I say. Which pocket left, I say, and he nods. Slow, he says, and I move like a diagram, retrieving it, holding it up. Place it on the counter, he says, and I do, sliding it toward the mic. He looks at it, then at me. "You came here alone?" he asks. "Yes," I say. "No ride, no," I say, and the truth again is shaped. "Anyone expecting you?" he asks, and the word expecting opens a door I didn't plan to walk through yet. "No," I say, and the consequence is a glance to the doors, the guard adjusting his stance. "We're going to isolate this area," the second officer announces, and people shuffle back, faces tight. "Is she okay?" a woman asks. "She's cooperating," the first officer says, and cooperation becomes my shield. The mic hums the red light unwavering, recording my compliance, my breathing, the way the officer's smile never comes back. I think about thresholds without thinking the word about what crosses them with permission, about how public spaces pretend to be neutral. The officer straightens. "Until we know more," he says, "you stay here." The consequence is the tape line inching closer, the room holding its breath. The mic blinks red as the officer seals the counter and everyone realizes this isn't a misunderstanding anymore. I'm Lauren Price, 36, an event operations manager from Chicago, Illinois, and that morning had begun the way safe mornings do, quiet, rehearsed, confident, and routine, back when everything still lived in the past tense. The folded guest list lay on the kitchen counter beside my keys, creased into quarters, names, and columns, softened by use, the paper smelling faintly of toner and coffee. I had scanned it out of habit, not for work, just to reassure myself that order existed somewhere I could touch. "You're early?" my husband said from the doorway, voice gentle, watching me lace my shoes. "I like being early," I said, checking my purse the way I always did. Zipper closed, weight familiar. "You always do that," he said, smiling, and I smiled back because the comment felt affectionate. "Doors open today?" he asked. "Later," I said. "Then relax," he said. "You're home." The hallway light stopped halfway across the floor. I noticed it without naming it a clean line that didn't reach the far wall, and kept moving because that's what you do when nothing is wrong. "You don't need to bring work home," he said, tapping the folded guest list. "It's just paper," I said. "Exactly," he replied. "Paper can wait." I slid the list into my purse anyway, flattening it against the lining so it wouldn't crease further. "You're tense," he said. "I'm focused," I said. "Say it again. Your title is Event Ops, not Security," he said lightly, a needle wrapped in humor. And I laughed because married people trade needles. "I manage rooms," I said. "Rooms don't bite," he said, pouring coffee. "People do," I said. "You're dramatic," he said. "You married me," I said. "I married your calendar," he said, and set the mug down harder than necessary. The kettle clicked off. The fridge hummed. "You sure you didn't forget anything?" he asked. "Wallet keys, phone," I said, touching each place they lived. "Bag's heavy," he said, lifting the strap with 2 fingers. "It always is," I said, and took it back. "Text me when you get there," he said. "I always do," I said. "Don't take the side entrance," he added. "Why?" I asked. "Construction," he said. "Okay," I said, and the words sat between us like a promise that didn't need witnesses. "You worry too much," he said softer. "You worry too little," I said. "We balance out," he said. "We do." I agreed because balance is a story you tell yourself until it isn't. I zipped the purse, slung it over my shoulder, and felt the familiar pull settle against my hip. "Be safe," he said. "Always." I said and meant the ritual more than the words. The light cut the hallway in half, and I stepped through the bright side without looking back. Outside, the air felt ordinary, the street loud in the usual way, my phone buzzing with calendar reminders I ignored. The folded guest list pressed flat against the purse-lining names, quiet, obedient. By the time the door closed behind me, the threshold had already decided what it would let through. By the time I reached the venue's back office, the day had compressed into deadlines and narrow margins, the kind that make you trust systems over instincts. The venue keycard warmed in my palm as I swiped in the reader, chirping green, and the room revealed itself the way controlled spaces do. A desk, 2 monitors, a rack of switches humming softly, ops moving with practiced boredom. My immediate goal was simple: confirm access schedules before doors opened because nothing calms me like lists aligning. "Morning," Marcus said without looking up. "We've got a mismatch," he added, tapping a keyboard. "Define mismatch," I said, setting my bag down against the chair leg, keeping it within reach. "Back office access logged before staff check-in," he said. "AX3, he added, rotating the screen just enough for me to see the ref code and the location tag. The consequence arrived with the number my calendar tightened. "That happens," I said, "because denial buys time." "Not like this," he said. "Badge use clean, read no tail." "Which badge?" I asked. "That's the thing," he said. "System flags access without assigning a staff profile." I watched the time tick on the corner of the monitor doors scheduled to open soon and felt the clock pressure bite. "Pull the camera," I said. "Can't yet," he said. Policy and the word landed like a wall. "Say it again, your badge is blue. Mine is cleared," he said lightly. A needle line dressed as procedure, and the consequence was a glance from the intern pretending not to listen. "Then log it," I said. "Already did," he said, lifting the clipboard edge to show the incident queue building. I leaned closer, reading the lines, seeing how absence can look like presence. "Where's the keycard list?" I asked. "Locked," he said. "Why audit?" he said. "Since when?" "Since this morning," he said, and shrugged. The keycard in my hand suddenly felt heavier, an object accusing without words. "We need to know who crossed that threshold," I said. "Before doors," he said. "Exactly," I said. "I can request a temporary release," he said. "Request," I echoed, and the consequence was waiting. 5 minutes, he said. "Make it 2, I said. He smirked. "You always do this," he said. "I manage rooms," I said. "Rooms don't lie," he said. "Logs do," I said. A radio crackled. "Ops update," a voice asked. "Stand by," Marcus said, and the room listened. I checked my phone. No new messages. The intern shifted. "If this is nothing," Marcus said, "we burn goodwill." "If it's something," I said, "we burn trust." He nodded, fingers flying, and a new line appeared on the screen, the AX3 entry refusing to resolve. The consequence was a silence that grew teeth. "Someone had access," he said finally. "Legitimate," I said. "Looks that way," he said. "Not staff," I said. "Not staff," he agreed. The keycard reader chirped behind me as someone entered, and I stepped aside automatically, eyes scanning faces. "Doors in 4, Marcus said. "We don't have 4, I said. He hit print a page sliding out with the ref code and location stamped and handed it to me like a warning. "Careful," he said. I said, folding the page once, slipping it into my purse without thinking because that's where paper goes. The keycard warmed in my hand as the AX3 line refused to name itself, and the room understood we were already late. The lobby outside the venue entrance filled the way public spaces do when schedules collide a tide of bodies and expectations, and I felt the pressure shift the moment I stepped into it with Marcus at my shoulder. Cameras were obvious here. Black domes nested in corners, one angled just enough to catch the doors and the velvet rope line, and the time-stamped CCTV still rested in my hand like a flat mirror glossy, reflecting nothing but light. My immediate goal was containment. Explain the delay without igniting panic. Keep the crowd moving. Buy minutes. "We're holding for a systems check," Marcus announced, voice pitched for calm. And the consequence was a ripple of groans followed by phones lifting anyway. "How long?" a man in a blazer asked. "Minutes," Marcus said. "Define minutes," a woman said, laughing, until she wasn't. The still showed a figure crossing the threshold earlier than allowed, the cam tag E2 printed at the corner. The venue entrance stamped beneath it, and I felt the room lean toward the image even before we raised it. "Ma'am," a guard said to me quietly, "we need to keep this off the counter. We need to keep it accurate," I said. And the consequence was his hand hovering unsure. "Doors were scheduled for 10, someone called out. "It's 10:08, another voice said, and the clock pressure snapped into focus. 10:08 a.m. burned at the edge of my awareness, and nowhere else. "Say it again," read the sign out loud. A man near the rope said, needle sharp. "Temporary delay." Marcus read, and the room heard the words without accepting them. "Why?" someone asked. "Because our system flagged an anomaly," Marcus said. "Anomaly," laughter bubbled. "That's not a reason," a woman said, and the laughter died when I lifted the still not high, just enough to be seen. The crowd reacted in waves the way they always do. Curiosity first, then silence, then a collective step back as recognition searched for a place to land. "Is that today?" someone whispered. "Is that now?" another asked. "Please keep phones down," the guard said, and 2 phones dipped, while 3 didn't. "That's the entrance," a man said, pointing, and the consequence was a murmur of agreement that felt like gravity. "We're not accusing anyone," I said, voice steady, because steadiness is a skill you practice until you need it. "We're verifying access," I added, and the word access moved through the room like a rumor. "Who had access?" a woman asked. "Read the clause out loud." A man near the door said, cruelly specific, and the guard turned toward him. "Sir?" the guard warned. "No," the man said. "I want to hear it." "You signed the log earlier than this," Marcus said to no one, and everyone tapping the clipboard he carried. "The camera contradicts you," he added, and the needle line landed where it belonged. The consequence immediate, a hush thick enough to hear breathing. "This is ridiculous," someone said. "This is procedure," I said. "Procedure for what a voice demanded. For safety," I said, and the word safety rearranged faces. The still caught the light and flared, cutting the lobby into halves, those leaning in, those stepping away, and I realized how quickly neutrality disappears under bright clarity. "Is there a threat?" a woman asked, eyes on me now. "We don't know yet," I said, and the honesty cost me. The crowd's patience thinned to a filament. "Then let us in," someone said. We paid, another added. "Your seat number isn't yours." A man barked at someone, cutting the line, and the guard intervened, hands out. "Enough," he said. "We're holding," Marcus repeated, and the repetition steadied him more than the room. I scanned faces the way I always did, counting exits, noticing who watched the cameras instead of the doors, and felt the wrongness sharpen. "Put it away," the guard murmured to me, nodding at the still. "Not yet," I said, and the consequence was his jaw tightening. "You can't show that," a woman protested. "We can show what we have," I said. "We won't show what we don't." "Who is that?" someone asked, finger hovering over the image. "We don't identify," Marcus said. "We verify." The phrase did work. It slowed the room, gave people something procedural to hold. "This is public," a man said. "So is the camera," I said, and the crowd laughed once, sharp, then stopped. "Are the cops coming?" a woman asked, and the word cops tilted the energy toward fear. "We've notified authorities," Marcus said, choosing the verb carefully. "They're aware," and the consequence was a step back from the rope, a widening of space no one admitted they wanted. "You're ruining this," someone muttered. "We're preventing worse," I said, and believed it, because belief is also a skill. The guard took a step toward the counter, blocking the line of sight, and I let him because public choreography requires compromise. "We need names," a man said. "No," Marcus said. "We need compliance." The crowd swayed between irritation and curiosity, and the cameras drank it all in. 5 more minutes, Marcus announced, and the word 5 felt like a dare. I lowered the still, sliding it back into a folder, and the room exhaled without relief. The doors remained closed, the rope unmoved, and the consequence of showing just enough truth settled over the lobby like a held breath. The camera blinked as the crowd split into believers and skeptics, and neither group wanted to leave. The sealed legal envelope arrived without drama, slid across Dana Whitfield's desk, as if paper could soften what it carried, and I felt the room narrow to the space between us. The envelope was thick cream stock, the flap pressed hard enough to leave a ridge code. L7 stamped small at the corner like a whisper pretending to be official. My immediate goal was comprehension, what this document did and didn't say, because logic is a rope you can hold when the floor tilts. "This isn't a notice," Dana said, tapping the seal with a pen. "It's a draft, pretending to be one." Define pretending. I said, setting my purse against the chair leg, keeping it close. "Language," she said. "Timing. Authority." She slid the pages out, careful not to tear the seal, and the consequence was immediate. The dates didn't line up with the access log we'd seen earlier. "Read this clause out loud," she said, and I did, my voice flat, the words clean and wrong. "It references a verification completed before the anomaly existed," Dana said. "That's not a mistake," I said. "No," she agreed. "It's a rehearsal." I felt the break then, not loud, not visible, an internal snap where trust gives way to pattern recognition. "Who sent this?" I asked. "Return address is generic," she said. "Mailroom stamp downtown." "So someone wanted it to look official," I said. "Exactly," she said. "And wanted you to feel alone." The envelope did its work sitting there, heavy with implication. "If I show this," I said, "what happens?" "You accelerate," she said. "You invite scrutiny." "If I don't," "You stall," she said. "You give them time." "Time for what I asked." "To tidy," she said, and the word landed like a warning. My phone buzzed once, a message preview lighting the screen, and I turned it face down without reading it, because avoidance can be strategic. "We need corroboration," Dana said. "One more angle." "We have logs," I said. "We need voice," she said. "Something human." "Witness," I asked. "Or sound," she said, eyes flicking to my bag. I followed her gaze and felt my pulse change. "Audio," I said. "If it exists," she said. "And if it was captured legally." "We don't have it," I said. "Not yet," she said. The consequence of the envelope was clarity without comfort. This wasn't a single error. It was a shape repeating. "Say it again." "Your role here is client, not conductor," Dana said gently. A needle meant to steady me. "Then tell me where to stand," I said. "Close," she said. "Not visible." I nodded, because that's how traps are set quietly with paperwork. I slid the pages back into the envelope, resealed it with care, and placed it in my purse, where paper belongs against the lining flattened and obedient. "Do not confront anyone," Dana said. "I won't," I said, and the truth of it surprised me. "And Lauren," she added, "don't narrate your fear." "I manage rooms," I said. "I manage exits." She smiled once tight. Outside her office, the city moved like nothing had changed, and that normalcy felt like a betrayal. The envelope pressed against my hip as I walked, a reminder that legality can be forged as easily as trust. The seal stayed intact as the logic broke open, and I knew someone was practicing my silence. Dana's office door clicked shut behind us, and the audio recorder came out of my purse the way a confession does, reluctant, necessary, already charged. It was small matte black, the kind meant to disappear in a palm, and when Dana set it on the desk, the indicator glowed faintly, a single eye open in a room that suddenly felt narrower. My immediate goal was verification, what it held, whether it was usable, whether it would cost more than it gave. "When did you get this?" Dana asked. "Today," I said. "We're at home," I said, and the word home shifted its meaning without asking permission. "Was it on?" she asked. "I don't know," I said, and the honesty felt expensive. "Then we listen," she said, and pressed play. The consequence arrived with the first sound, a pause, where a pause shouldn't be a breath. Cut short, a voice entering the frame too early. "Stop!" Dana said, hand up, and the recorder went dark for a beat before the glow returned. "That gap," she said. "Hear it, I hear it," I said. "Timeline doesn't match," she said. "There's a jump." She rewound, played it again, pointing with her pen. "Here," she said. "Before the kitchen clock ticks." "The clock ticks every second," I said. "Not this one," she said. "This tick comes late." The consequence of the observation was a chill that settled behind my eyes. I knew clocks the way some people know faces. "Was anyone else in the room?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "Who, my husband," I said, and the name sat there without accusation, a fact waiting for its turn. And she prompted, "He spoke, I said," when, before he should have, I said, and the words felt surgical. "Play it," she said. The recorder glowed where the doorway never fully closed, the sound filling the office coffee set down a chair, shifting a voice entering the space before the light reached the floor. "Pause," Dana said again. "That's your echo," she said. "Permission before presence." "Is it admissible?" I asked. "If it was captured without intent," she said. "If it documents a timeline contradiction." "It does," I said. "Then it binds," she said, and the word bind felt right. My phone buzzed a text lighting the screen. "Everything okay?" I didn't answer. Say it again. Your role is witness, not editor, Dana said softly. Don't clean it. I won't, I said. We need corroboration, she said. A human anchor. Witness, I said. Or log, she said. Or both. The recorder kept its faint glow a reminder that objects don't care about marriage. If I bring this forward, I said, what happens? Pressure, she said. Clock pressure. How much time, I asked. Enough to make mistakes, she said. Outside, a siren rose and fell, irrelevant and perfect. I slid the recorder back into my purse, careful not to touch the switch, and felt the weight shift against my hip. No confrontations, Dana said. No warnings. I know, I said. And Lauren, she added, don't stand in the doorway. I nodded because thresholds had already taught me their lesson. The recorder's glow marked the gap no one could explain, and the clock started counting who would slip first. The clipboard with the incident log felt heavier than paper should as Marcus handed it to me near the service corridor, the edge nicked where hands had worried it all morning. My immediate goal was alignment match voices to movements, people to paths, before rumor hardened into certainty. We've got a statement, Marcus said, tapping the page. Seat row C, he added. Blue badge. The words arranged themselves into a shape I didn't like. Witness, I asked. Staff adjacent, he said. Claims they saw someone cross early. Claims, I repeated. Logged, he corrected. And the consequence was the ink becoming a fact. We stood where the corridor narrowed doors propped radios murmuring, the public held at a polite distance by velvet rope and patience thinning like thread. Read it, I said. Marcus read aloud, voice neutral, the statement clean and confident, describing a person whose outline fit too many people at once. That's not helpful, I said. It's pressure, he said. Different thing. The clock pressure ticked without showing its face. I felt it in the way staff stopped making eye contact. Authorities aware, Marcus added. On standby. Who I asked. Detective unit, he said. They won't enter without proof. Good, I said. We're not ready. Say it again. Your badge is blue, mine is cleared. A supervisor snapped at a staffer hovering too close. Needle line sharp enough to slice the air, and the staffer retreated. Consequence immediate. My phone buzzed again. You okay? The message preview sat there like bait. I didn't take it. The witness places the person at the side entrance, Marcus said. Not the front. Side entrance was under construction, I said. Supposedly, he said. Construction was paused, I said. I checked. Then the statement's wrong, he said. Or incomplete, I said. We walked the corridor counting cameras by reflex, noting which ones blinked and which pretended not to. We can pull audio from the desk, Marcus said, if legal clears it. They will, I said. They already did. He glanced at me. You're certain, he said. I am, I said, and meant the process, not the outcome. The clipboard page fluttered as someone brushed past, and I steadied it, eyes catching a detail I'd missed the badge color, noted twice the time relative, but confident the phrasing rehearsed. This reads like someone wanted to be helpful, I said. Or wanted to be first, Marcus said. The corridor opened onto the lobby again, the public hum returning like weather. Who do they suspect? Marcus asked quietly. I looked at the crowd, the cameras, the staff with keys and access, and plausible reasons to be early. The wrong person, I said, and the consequence was a nod. Misdirection buys space. We let it, Marcus said. For now, I said. A guard approached. We're getting heat, he said. Someone's calling it a cover-up. We're getting closer, I said. Different thing. The guard didn't smile. Authority wants a timeline, he said. They'll get it, I said. When it's clean. I slid the clipboard back to Marcus, keeping the copy, feeling the paper remember my grip. No confrontations, he said. None, I said. Across the lobby, someone laughed too loud and someone else shushed them. I finally opened the text typed, all good, and sent it because sometimes silence creates more noise than words. The phone slipped back into my purse, the weight settling wrong. The witness log pointed confidently at a stranger, and the pressure rose exactly where it was meant to. The USB drive sat sealed in a clear evidence bag on Dana's desk, its tiny rectangle suddenly heavier than all the paper we'd handled so far, and my immediate goal narrowed to one task: prove intent without speaking the word. "You sure this is the right one?" Dana asked, tilting the bag so the light caught the label. "U9," I said, reading the file tag through plastic, the characters clean and smug. "Source?" she asked. "Pulled from the desk system," Marcus said over speaker, his voice flattening distance. "Chain intact." "Open it," Dana said, and the consequence was a decision becoming irreversible. She cut the seal with a careful motion, slid the drive free, and plugged it into a clean machine that never touched the internet. The screen bloomed folders stacking like rooms you pretend you don't recognize. "Metadata first," she said. "Don't click content." "Agreed," I said, and leaned closer than I should have. "Creation time," she read. "Modification time." "Compare," I said. "They shouldn't disagree," she said. And then they did. "That's a gap," Marcus said. "How big?" "Enough," Dana said. "Read the location," I said. "Cache origin shows venue entrance," she said. "But this file never lived there," I said. "Exactly," she said. The contradiction landed with a dull certainty. The file claimed to be born in a place it had never been a lie, only someone with access would risk. "Say it again. Your badge is blue. Mine is cleared," Marcus said faintly through the speaker, repeating an earlier needle line like a test, and the consequence was my jaw tightening because I knew what badge he meant. "Check user profile," Dana said. "Masked," the system replied, but the last four glimmered through the fog, a tease of digits that meant nothing until they did. 82. Dana read. "Consistent with household account," I said before I could stop myself. The room went quiet in a way that didn't ask permission. "Lauren," Dana said carefully, "stay with the data." I said, because staying with data is how you survive patterns." "Show the header," Marcus said. Dana clicked once, and the header unfurled the ref code P1 nested in a corner that had learned how to hide. "This header exists only after export," Dana said. Which means someone exported it," I said, and then pretended it came from capture. "Access," Marcus said. "Legitimate," Dana said. "Proximity," I added. "Domestic," Marcus said, and the word didn't accuse. It described. "We're not naming," Dana said. "We're proving. We are," I said, and felt the shift the moment when my work knowledge stepped forward and my marriage stepped back. "Timeline," Dana said. "We need one clean line." "I have it," I said, pulling my phone, opening my calendar without looking at messages. "I schedule rooms," I said. "I schedule people." "Say it again. Your role is witness, not editor," Dana reminded me. "Then watch," I said, and matched the file's impossible creation time to a moment I could place a pause at home, a chair scraping before the light reached the floor. "That's when," I said. "No," Dana said gently. "That's why." Marcus cleared his throat through the speaker. "If this stands," he said, "we pivot." "To what?" I asked. "To public," he said. "But not yet," Dana added. "We need a controlled reveal." The clock pressure crept in, then quiet but sharp. I felt it in the way my phone vibrated against the desk. I ignored it. "Any alternate explanation?" Dana asked. "Corruption unlikely," Marcus said. "The header proves a deliberate path." "Mistake?" Dana asked. "No," I said. "Mistakes don't rehearse." The metadata contradicted itself in 3 places, and each contradiction pointed inward, not outward. Dana leaned back. "You understand what this means," she said. "I understand how it happened," I said, "and the difference mattered." "We need to cede authority," Marcus said. "Already done," Dana said. "Standby only." "Witness?" Marcus asked. "We have one," Dana said. "The public." "Not yet," I said. "We set the room first." "Say it again. Read the clause out loud," Marcus said half to himself, and I heard the plan assembling like a stage. "If we're wrong," I said, "we burn everything. If we're right," Dana said, "we end it clean." I slid the USB back into the bag, resealed it with a new strip, and wrote the ref code myself, slow and legible. "No confrontations," Dana said. "None," I said. My phone buzzed again insistently now. Why aren't you answering?" The words pressed harder than the plastic seal had. "Do not respond," Dana said, seeing my face. "I won't," I said, and this time the promise was a tool. Marcus spoke again. "I can prep the projector," he said, quietly. "Do," I said, "and lock the guest list." "Already did," he said. The room felt smaller, safer, because process had a spine again. I stood feeling the familiar weight of responsibility settle where fear had been. Lauren Donna said, stopping me at the door, "Once this starts, it doesn't stop." "I know," I said. I paused, hand on the knob, listening to the building breathe. The USB's quiet lie finished assembling the stage, and the next truth would need witnesses. The projector remote clicked once in my hand, a small sound with a large consequence, and my immediate goal narrowed to control what appeared when it appeared and who saw it first. The room we chose was neutral on paper, a multi-purpose conference space off the lobby glass walls, frosted just enough to promise privacy while delivering silhouettes to anyone curious. Marcus stood near the rack, calm in the way people get when they trust switches more than words. "Signal's clean," he said. "Source locked." I placed the remote on the table, thumb hovering, and felt the weight of the USB through my purse lining like a second heartbeat. "We'll start with context," Dana said quietly. "Then proof. And timing," I said. "Always timing." The doors stayed open by design. Witnesses need paths. Staff drifted in under plausible reasons. Schedule updates delayed openings. Each arrival logged by the room without logging it. "You sure about this order?" Marcus asked. "Yes," I said. "We let the wrong story breathe first." He nodded, understanding misdirection as a tool, not a failure. A supervisor cleared his throat. "We're hearing accusations," he said, "about staff." "We're hearing noise," Dana said. "We're preparing signal." The needle line came uninvited from the doorway. "Say it again, your badge is blue. Mine is cleared. Don't pretend." The room froze for half a second as a guard corrected a staffer, consequence immediate. Posture changed, eyes lowered. I watched the glass, the shapes beyond it, counting phones by reflection. "We need to close this," the supervisor said. "We will," I said. "Correctly." My phone buzzed, insistent now, the name lighting the screen. I turned it face down without reading, because timing decides who looks guilty. "He's here," Marcus said softly, eyes flicking to the hallway. I didn't ask who. The body knows before the mind does. The door opened and he stepped in like he belonged anywhere. Relaxed, shoulders concerned, face the practiced kindness of someone used to being believed. "There you are," he said. Voice warm, and the room accepted it as furniture. "They're saying wild things," he added, glancing at the glass. "Are you okay?" "We're working," I said, and kept my hands on the table. "You should come home," he said. "This is getting ugly." "Read the clause out loud," Marcus said without looking up, needle sharp, and the consequence was a blink too slow. "Excuse me?" he asked. "Policy," Marcus said. "Access policy." "I don't work here," he said, smiling. "Exactly," Marcus said, and the smile faltered. Dana slid a single page across the table, face down. "We'll get there," she said. "Not yet." The projector hummed awake, a rectangle of light breathing onto the wall, blank for now. The room leaned in. "You don't need to do this," he said to me softer. Private, and the word "this" tried to become our marriage. "We do," I said, and the difference mattered. I pressed the remote once, not to show the truth, but to show the prelude a header, a title slide, the ref code P1 small in the corner like a promise. "What is that?" a supervisor asked. "Context," Dana said. "Timeline," I added. The slide advanced a simple sequence of times without dates, relative markers instead of clocks, because time reveals more when it isn't pinned down. "This is ridiculous," he said, a laugh escaping too early. "You're embarrassing yourself." "Keep smiling. Your email header is on the screen," Marcus said, cruelly specific. And the consequence was a hand dropping to the table, fingers splaying as if to claim ownership. The glass walls betrayed us, silhouettes multiplying as people stopped to watch. "Turn that off," he said. "The warmth gone. You can't show private information. We can show what was exported," Dana said. "And by whom?" I advanced the slide again, careful, deliberate, letting the room assemble the logic before the accusation arrived. "That's not what it looks like," he said, eyes on the wall now, not on me. "Then say what it is," I said, and the consequence was silence, loud enough to hear the projector fan. "You're making a mistake," he said finally. "You always do when you get procedural. Say it again. Your title is spouse, not owner," Dana said, needle line precise, and the room inhaled. The supervisor shifted. "We need clarity," he said. "You'll get it," I said, thumb resting on the remote, feeling the click waiting. I thought about thresholds and light and how permission can be forged. I pressed the button halfway, then stopped, because cornering someone isn't about speed. It's about inevitability. The header glowed on the wall as his story ran out of exits, and the room prepared for the last door to open. The glass podium waited at the edge of the lobby, like a promise kept too clean, and my immediate goal was precision place. The truth where it couldn't be mistaken for opinion. Marcus adjusted the spotlight so faces stayed readable, the velvet rope pulled back just enough to invite witnesses without surrendering control. Phones rose despite the guard's hand signals. Recording vectors multiply when people sense a verdict. "We're going to clarify access," I said into the wireless mic. Voice steady the glass amplifying light beneath my palms. "This will take less than a minute." The room leaned in irritation, curdling into attention. Dana stood half a step behind me, sealed legal envelope tucked under her arm like punctuation. "We'll start with custody," she said, and nodded to the officer waiting off to the side, badge catching the light, but body held back by protocol. After public proof, she'd warned me earlier. Not before. Marcus tapped once, and the screen filled with a clean chain, no dates, only relative markers, a path that refused to break. "This item," Dana said, lifting the evidence bag, "was handled according to policy." She read the ref aloud, voice carrying location, generic, time of day mentioned once and only once, because clarity hates repetition. The crowd murmured, then quieted as the path assembled itself. "Who handled it?" a man called. "Read the clause out loud," someone else shouted, and the guard moved hands up, controlling the doorway. "We'll get there," Dana said, and the confidence did its work. I advanced the slide not to accuse, but to complete the circuit export header, aligned with access rights, the last four, masked but consistent, the podium reflecting the image back into the room like a mirror that couldn't lie. He stood to my right now, close enough to smell his aftershave, the practiced calm of a spouse who expects absolution by proximity. "Turn it off," he said softly. "You're frightening people." "We're informing them," I said. "Say it again. Your title is spouse, not owner." Dana said, needle line sharp enough to cut through warmth, and the consequence was immediate. A step back, eyes flicking to exits that no longer mattered. I lifted the bag higher so the crowd could see the seal intact, the custody path uninterrupted. "This chain holds," Dana said. It was verified. The officer shifted, still waiting. "Verified by whom?" a woman asked. "By authority," Dana said, and nodded, "Not yet." I pressed the remote once more, the final piece slotting into place, a match between export and access that refused coincidence. The glass podium flared under the lights as the proof aligned, and every face understood the threshold had been crossed. Gasps rippled, then the sound the title had promised, screams, not terror, but recognition, the kind that bursts when a story collapses in public. "That's impossible," he said louder now. "You're twisting data. Read the header out loud," Marcus said from the rack, cruelly specific, and the consequence was his silence. "That access wasn't yours," a supervisor said, voice shaking. "It never was. You can't prove intent," he tried, grasping for procedure like a rail. "Intent isn't on trial," Dana said. "Chain is." She turned to the officer. "Now." The badge glinted as he stepped forward, authority entering only after the room had already decided. "Sir," the officer said, calm and bright under the stage lights, "we need to speak with you." "This is a misunderstanding," he said, reaching toward me without looking. "Don't," the officer said, palm out, and the reach stopped midair. Phones down the guard repeated too late. The moment was already archived. "You planted it?" a voice shouted from the crowd, and the word planted found its place. "Keep smiling. Your access path is on the screen," Marcus said, and the smile never came back. The officer guided him a step aside, not cuffed, just contained the choreography precise so no one could claim excess. "We'll take custody," the officer said, and the evidence bag moved from glass to glove with a click that sounded final. The crowd parted a clean aisle opening without instruction. "She ruined this," someone muttered. "She finished it," another replied, and the difference mattered. I stepped back from the podium, hands shaking now that the work was done, and felt the mic cool as if relieved. "Clear the lobby," the guard said, and people obeyed because clarity commands more than fear. Dana leaned in. "You did exactly enough," she said. The officer returned. "Ma'am, he said to me we may need a statement." "I'll give one," I said. "Later." He nodded, professional respect replacing spectacle. The lights dimmed a fraction, the glass losing its glare, the room emptying in disciplined waves. I watched him disappear through the side door, with authority at his shoulder, no exits left to count. The badge passed the podium as the doors closed and the truth left the room under custody. The security wristband pressed lightly against my skin as the lobby thinned to procedure, the noise replaced by clipboards and low voices, and my immediate goal shifted from exposure to completion, close the loop without reopening the wound. The officer returned with a calm that felt earned now, not borrowed from authority. "We'll need your statement," he said, and I nodded because timing still mattered. Dana stood nearby watching the doors the way lawyers do when outcomes are already in motion. "He asked to speak with you," the officer added. "I declined," I said. "Good," Dana said, and the consequence was space physical, legal, emotional. Marcus checked the rack one last time, shutting systems down in the order that keeps rumors from becoming evidence. "Logs are archived," he said. "Public feed clipped," he added. "Witness statements secured." "Thank you," I said, and meant the way he'd trusted process over comfort. A supervisor approached, voice softer than before. "We'll issue an apology for the delay," he said, "and a clarification. Accuracy over apology." Dana said, needle-line gentle this time. "People can forgive waiting," I added. "They don't forgive being lied to." The supervisor nodded, chastened, and moved on. I felt the wristband again, a small circle of plastic that marked where I was allowed to stand, and noticed how much lighter it felt than the ring I wasn't wearing anymore. "Do you want to retrieve personal items?" the officer asked. "Later," I said. "I don't need to rush." Across the lobby, a cleaner wiped the glass podium, erasing fingerprints without erasing what had happened, and the sight felt right maintenance, not denial. "You handled the room," Marcus said quietly. "You handled the truth," I said back. A woman approached hesitantly, badge still on. "I'm sorry," she said, "for doubting." "You didn't," I said. "You watched." The distinction settled her shoulders. My phone buzzed once more and then went quiet, as if the device understood there would be no reply. "Transportation?" the officer asked. "I'll walk," I said. "Someone can accompany you," he offered. "I can," Dana said, already gathering her envelope. We moved toward the exit together, the guard holding the door with a nod that acknowledged both safety and autonomy. Outside, the air felt different, not cleaner, just honest. "This won't end today," Dana said. "I know," I said, "but it did end." She smiled, satisfied. I paused at the threshold, the wristband catching the light, and thought about how permission works when it's earned back piece by piece. The wristband circled my wrist like a boundary restored, and the room behind me finally stayed quiet. The lanyard badge rests against my chest as I stand where the lobby light settles evenly, now present tense, returning the way breath does after effort. And my immediate goal is simple: leave without carrying anything that isn't mine. The badge isn't official. It's temporary, visitor level, a strip of plastic that grants nothing beyond passage, and that's why it feels right. I clip it on anyway because symbols matter when routines are rebuilding. The hallway light reaches the threshold and doesn't stop. I notice it this time, name it, let it finish its work. Outside the glass, the street resumes its honest noise, buses, sighing shoes, scuffing the city, unbothered by my private collapse. An officer hands me a card. "Follow up," he says. "We'll be in touch." I know, I say, and tuck it into my pocket instead of my purse because placement is a choice now. Donna squeezes my shoulder once and leaves without ceremony. Endings don't need witnesses. I take a step, then another, testing how the day feels without urgency. It feels quieter, not lighter. Truth doesn't reduce weight, it redistributes it. My phone vibrates with a notification I don't open. It can wait. At the corner, I pause and look back through the glass. The podium is gone, the rope coiled, the cameras blinking to themselves. Maintenance has erased fingerprints, not memory. I think about permission and proximity and how easily trust borrows the language of safety. I think about how objects don't choose sides, they just keep time. The badge taps softly against my sternum, with each step a metronome for a life that will need new rhythms. I cross the street on the signal, no longer counting exits, and feel the absence where vigilance used to sit. It will come back when needed. It always does. At home later, I will open my purse and find it ordinary again, and that ordinariness will feel earned. For now, I keep walking, shoulders squared, eyes forward, letting the light finish crossing every doorway I enter. The badge swings once, then settles, and nothing hidden follows me out.